Is it
All right.
possible for you to send the recorded version to me?
Yes, yes, it's very, very possible. Very possible.
I would
The
appreciate it.
the only thing is that I think the class we had last time, I've uploaded it to my official YouTube page. So maybe I'll look for the link and forward it to you.
Okay. Okay, you can share the link with me.
Yes.
So if you're okay.
All right. So good evening once again. You are welcome to day two. So I would like to hear from you. How was the day one? Do you have any
Yeah,
question on what we did?
the one from your end is good.
Right.
From my end, uh, it was so simple that I the assignment so now I just some few minutes because I had to go to hospital so I was on and out for some medical test. So I just let me quickly do it. I think I was able to do the if
Question.
sum, but the
Okay.
count I'm not getting. But instead of us uh, getting the lessons, you have it the link. I know it's something I can just pick on the link and run through.
Yes, definitely, definitely. All right. So let's continue then. That's the case. All right. So remember we have been on the Excel advanced statistical functions, where we started with I call them aggregate functions. In other words, they are a set of functions which enables us to summarize values within a given data frame. And so far, so good. We have already covered the single criteria. And under the single criteria, if I could remember, we have done Sumif, we have done Countifs. I think the only one left there is the Averageifs, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Or okay, so this is what I'm going to do. My intention for this section is to actually focus on the same set of functions, but this time around, using them to answer multiple criteria question. So what I will just quickly do, just to bring us to the same page, I will just take a step back. In other words, I will just start from the count if and then conclude the average if before we uh, dive into the multiple conditional statistical functions. All right. So this is the same data set that we worked with. And I don't want to take much of our time to study the data because we have done that. Remember, I told us that it is one of the steps, in fact, is the first step when you are given data to manage as a data analyst to understand your data. So we have already taken care of that. And I also emphasize that your analysis outputs, in other words, your findings, because the decision will be guided or decision making will be guided based on the findings you are able to derive from the given data set. Don't forget that we are learning this program under the umbrella of data what analytics. Like I told you, the entire advanced part of Excel is strictly for data manipulation or data analysis. So an advice that to start with, we create a dashboard. If you can still remember, where I defined dashboard as a set aside sheets in this case, or environment, just to collate all your findings. And then at the end of your analysis, that is, after you have answered all the possible analysis questions that will eventually lead to the derivation of the insight that will now be used for making effective decision, then you have to present what we call executive report. Okay, because the stakeholders may not use whatever you are doing in Excel. It's just your technical skill display. So at the end of the day, you are supposed to, draft out your key points and then present it to them. So that is the essence of creating the dashboard, so that you have an interface where you are able to assemble all your insights, and then to now be easier for you as a data analyst to be able to what? To put your final report together. So, and I said you have to name it. So I'll just name this dashboard. Name this dashboard. So this is my data. So I will rename it data. All right. So once I'm done with that, the next thing is for me to highlight my analysis questions. Remember, I also advise us that one of the key skill sets that we must have as data analysts is for us to be able to look at a given data set and be able to draft question that could lead to the results expected. So based on that, we'll look at the data together. And like I said, I'm not just going to be looking at this function like the general user of Excel will look at them. We are going beyond their default function. In other words, we are relating these same functions in the field of data analysis. How can this function help a data analyst or a data manager to be able to draw insights from a given data? That is our objective, and that is how we are going to be applying them. So like I said, I'm starting with the Countifs. The Countifs. And like I defined it before, I told us that the Countifs is an example of Microsoft Excel intermediate stroke advanced statistical function, which is used to summarize a large given data set to know how many times a variable or a value appear in a given data set. So that is the purpose of the Countifs. And at the same time, I said that this first set of the intermediate statistical or aggregate functions, they can only be deployed where your analysis question has one criteria. So based on that, let's look at this data set and be able to draft one of these questions. So let's say the organization that gave us this data set wants to know, the total numbers of transactions, where total profit is greater than 900,000. You see that? 900,000. So there is a decision the company wants to make once they get that information. So you as a data expert, how do you deploy the right function to be able to get that insight? So that is the question. So let me quickly outline the question in my analysis dashboard, like I've explained to us before. So this is let me tag this question 1 into this section. So I'm just going to merge some cell. Remember, I told you the essence of merging. You are collapsing two or more what cells because you want to write a single word string. So you come here and select merge and center. So what is that question again? The question is how many? I just
The
want to make
total.
it, no, I want to make it brief because that's that explanation, the initial description is too long. So you must find a way of reducing the length of your query. Just make it brief. Now, how many transaction? How many transaction? How many transaction? How many transaction in the data set where total profits is above 900,000. 900,000. That is the question. Now, we need to format it. We need to format it. Remember, I told you that formatting is very key in the field of data analytics. That is, the formatting only gives us a user-friendly presentation. So for the value to be readable and be eye-catching, that is why I want to format. So let me give it this, and then I can also increase the size. Now, to answer that question, we have to go back to the data set. Remember the question again. We want to do a counting of how many entry or how many entry where the total profit is greater than 900. So the first thing is for us to come here. Is going to be how do I put it? It's going to be single metric results. So we are not going to present the answer comparing it with other unique variable. So let's say we are putting the answer in front of its description because it's going to be single metric value. So I'll type equals to, and then I'll type count if. So I will activate it. And now, like I explained to us the other time, it is very important that anytime we activate a function while working with Excel, you need to study the syntax. You need to study the syntax. What is the syntax? Syntax simply means the rules that govern how that particular function should be written, the format in a simple term. So if you look at the center of this function, what we have inside as just two parameters to be given are the range criteria. I hope you are still with me. The range and the criteria. Now, what is the range? The range is the selection of the cells where you have the criteria for the counting. So there must be a criteria for your counting. So which means that I'm going to choose a string range. So I can say, okay, I want to use region. I want to use region as the criteria. In other words, the value, remember that the criteria for the counting is here. All right. So I'm going to capture the whole of the region value just to represent the range because that function says there must be a range specification. then before the criteria. So the criteria is going to be here, the total profit. Why the range that will determine the counting of the values that are greater than that specified value will be here. So I'll take this. Remember the logic I gave to you, that it's better you use the alphabet to select so that it will capture future what entry. Do you still remember? Right? So once you have done that, then you insert your comma. So when you looked at the range the other time, you find out that what separates the range from the criteria is a comma. So that is why as soon as I've passed in the range, I have to introduce a comma. Now, after you have introduced the comma, now look at how I am going to specify a value greater than what? Total profit greater than this. So which means that I am going to highlight everything I have here. So comma, then I will quote it. Sorry, in this case, since it's just counting, we can just take this. We can just take this. There's no point of the other one. So, okay, sorry, let me take it from the alphabet. Okay, so I will introduce quotation. That is the value here, if greater than. Introduce quotation. And then you will now put the greater than inside and then specify that value. Let's say what? 900,000. Then also what? Close the quotation. So what you are saying is that what? The values in this particular specified range that are greater than 900,000, they are the ones you want to count. So that's a simple logic. So, but we have to put a comma here. We have to put a comma here just to show that the whole of this side, the whole of this section is the range in that function center. Why this is the what? The criterion. So if you like, you manually close the bracket, but Excel will automatically close it for you. So if I press enter, you can see that what? There are just what? 14 of them. There are just 14 of them out of the entire record where total profit is greater than 900,000. Is that taken? Please kindly unmute. Let me hear from you, sir.
Yeah,
All right. So
it's taking.
write
Sorry,
the
you may see me facing. So you may see me facing another side. I'm listening. I'm using a larger screen, so that's why the.
okay. Sorry. Thank you for that update because I noticed you as if you are talking to somebody there. All right.
No.
No problem. So what you do for me now is that you write the formula structure down in your note because after some time, I will come on your screen and then ask you to perform some tasks. So just be writing them down. Just want to cover like 2 or 3, then I'll pause, allow you to share your screen. All right, so that is how to use the count if conditional function. So professionally, maybe you could be having maybe you have like PowerPoint where at the end of each of your analysis, you go and take notes of your observation. But in this case, since we are not performing comparison analysis, this is just what we call a single metric analysis. Now, let's quickly look at the next intermediate Excel aggregate function, which is Averageif. Averageif, that is the next one, Averageif. So how do we define the Averageif? So the Averageif is used to also summarize value. That is, it will add all the values within the range you define and then divide it by the total numbers of entries. It's just like the way we were taught simple mathematics those days, average. So if somebody say, okay, find the average of 3 numbers, you simply sum them up, divide it by what? The total number of items. So we want to see how we can also use the average if conditional function to answer a valid analysis question. So looking at this same data set, I want to answer this question with the average. Analyze the total average. Analyze the total average. Analyze the total average. The total average of total profits per item type. So we are going a little bit more complex now. What the question says is that you pick each of these unique item type and then you calculate their what total average and aggregate it, to them. That is, so this particular question is not going to be single metric. Instead, it's going to be what? Comparison. This is what we call categorical data analysis. Now, the first thing you are expected to do in this kind of scenario is to get the unique variable listed in your dashboard. So which means that I'll take the whole of this value, because I believe you know how to select all the values in a particular column. So Control C, and then go back to my dashboard, then paste it here. Okay. So because why am I doing this? Remember that I did not do that for this particular one, because that one is what? Single what? Output. But here you are comparing. Now, why I copied everything, ordinarily, I can decide to manually what? Write them. But as an expert, I feel that why should I rewrite what has been captured in the data set? The only challenge that I could face here is that most of them are repeated. But the question says all the baby food item should be represented, or transaction in your source data should be represented with 1. All the cereal transaction, even if we have like 20 different times somebody purchased it, in your analysis dashboard should be represented what? Just 1. So which means that what? Most of these values are repeated. Which means that what? Most of these values are repeated. Are you with me? Now, the first thing I have to do, I have to clean up this particular data by removing
Yeah.
duplicates. By removing duplicates. So how do I remove duplicates? So I'll select the same range like this after I pasted it in my analysis dashboard. Just highlight the whole of that range. So the next thing you do, you go to Data tab, and then you select what? Remove duplicates. So the moment you click on it, Excel is going to highlight the particular column label where you have the duplicated value. So all you need is just to acknowledge it and then click on what? OK. And then you get this reply that says that 88 duplicate value found and removed. And at the end of the day, we have just what? 13 what? Unique value remaining. Now, it is this 13 value remaining that you are asked to analyze or aggregate their total profit average. That is, we are expected to output the baby food what? Total profit average, cereal total profit average. That is what the question says. So I have to label here as what? Total average. Total average. All right, so I have to double click here to expand it. Now, after this is where you are going to write the function. This is where you are going to write the function. So now I'll start by activating the equal sign and then type what? Average if. Average if. Because the question says we should analyze the total profit average per item type. Per item type. So now I want you to look at the syntax. You can see that this particular one, the syntax have changed. Now let me break down the syntax first, because that is the first thing you must make sure you understand. Now the range here is going to be a number. Okay, let me put it this way. The range here is the string where you have the criteria for the average calculation. That will be your range. And from what you listed out, this is where you have, in other words, the summary, the average you are calculating is based on the selected item. So which means that we have to go back to the data set and acknowledge where we have all these that we have listed out as the criteria for calculating the average. So I have to come back to the data set and then capture all the items we have under what? Under item type. We have to take everything. So to create room for future entry, then you take it like this. Just click on the alphabet, and then after that, you insert your comma. So that is the range. So what you have done as far as Excel is concerned is that this is where the criteria for calculating the total profit average are. That is what you have just done. Now, we now switch back to our dashboard and pick the first one, which is what? Baby food. All right. So this is the range. This is the criteria. Now, had it been you did not select that range before clicking on that baby food, Excel will take that baby food to the data set and search whether such item exists. And by the time it could not find it within the range you capture, Excel will throw error, because it's going to compare it with a particular section of your data. Now, after this, the next thing I have to do is to capture the value columns, which is, I have to add a comma, which is the total profits we want to analyze the average. So I go back to the data and then take everything I have here. So this is going to be the last criteria. And then you press enter here. In other words, you execute it here, not switching to your dashboard, because the moment you switch back to your dashboard, Excel will reference a different sheet, which means that you are referencing value from a wrong sheet. So you press enter and then you get the output here. So this is the total average for all the transaction where item type is equals to baby food. Now, there is what we call autofill, which I explained to you in our last class. That is, you are not expected to start writing the same function in front of others. So the one you have derived, just double click on this and then it will automatically analyze the rest for you. Now, there is one more thing that you need to know. Your analysis is not complete until you visualize your report. Visualization is very key. Whether you are using Python,
I lost you for a moment. The line is breaking.
Okay, well, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Hello, I can't hear you. The line is breaking.
Okay, so let me see.
Okay, I can hear you better now.
You can hear me now. All right.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right.
But I lost you for a moment before this time.
All right. Now, I will try to explain I was trying to explain something to you because when I started, I said our job as data analysts is not just to display values. We should be able to interpret those values to a non-technical level because we are technical people. So you do not expect that the stakeholders should be technicians. So what it means is that after your technical, because this is your technical work, so you need to, in a very plain language that your boss can understand, you have to be able to present it. So which means that the second aspect is for you to be able to observe your report. Observe the report and then tell us the trend. Then be able to show us the pattern. And then if possible, the correlation between some of the highest performing variables. Am I communicating? Am I communicating? Can you hear me? Just unmute yourself. I muted you the other time. You can kindly unmute yourself. Just unmute yourself. Okay, unmute yourself. Okay, speak now. I think I should be able to hear you. Okay.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Okay, so let me see if that should be the case. Let me see if I can
I get
switch.
it up to the point of presentation.
Okay, so let me try and
I got to the point of presenting the data to.
okay. So I'm trying to let me switch network so that we can flow better. Since you are complaining it's breaking, let me switch to another network. Just stay tuned. All right, so how is it now? I think this should be better. How is it now? Is it better?
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
better now.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to give us a breakdown here. And the breakdown I was giving you, look at it here. I said that the role of a data analyst is not just to display values, just like we have done now. So how do you communicate this to your employer is what matters. How do you communicate this? Because to them, they don't understand what you did. That is where visualization comes in. So what is data visualization? Data visualization simply means converting your numerical data to graph because research have shown that when values are represented with graph, as an analyst, you can easily derive or detect the trend, the pattern, and the outlier. So for that reason, I am going to highlight the whole of these reports I have generated. And then you will now see this icon. The moment you select the two variables, you will definitely see an icon labeled quick analysis. So it's like a bucket of tools that can help us to further visualize the numerical value. So once I click on it, you see what comes out. A whole lot of them. But the one I am targeting is charts. Chart is the same thing as graph. So we need to understand that as information managers or data analysts. We need to understand that chart means what? Graph. So once I open it up, then I will now see different types of chart. Now, these charts have their different strengths. You must understand that. You should know when to present your value with pie charts. You should know when to present your value with bar charts. So you don't just use them anyhow as a data analyst. Okay, so remember your priority. your priority is you want to easily know which of the item type has the highest what? Average profit generated. Because the model we use, let me use this. I want to use this because from here, let me so I can compare them to you. This one is called a tabular model. A tabular model is a two-dimensional model or structure. Now, why is it difficult? Or why will it be difficult for you as a data analyst to be able to detect, to know the trend, the correlation, the pattern with table? Because you have to start comparing this value with this value. You have to start comparing this with this before you can actually what? Know which one is doing better. But with this graph now, it will not take you more than even 3 seconds. You know the one that is doing better. Look at it here. So if I trace it now, that is what? Cosmetic. So you are supposed to pick your pen if you are not a computerized person. You pick your pen and paper and look at the report like this and write your observation. You write that after analyzing this data, I observe, number one, that cosmetic has the highest what? Average. Then the company wants to know the highest. They want to know the least. They want to know the difference between the highest and the least before they can actually make what? Informed decision. Am I communicating, sir?
Yes, you are.
All right. So you are supposed to write because the next assignment I'm going to give you, you are not going to just present your work like this. You will take me to PowerPoint and explain your observation from each of the analysis. That is what we make up the report. That is what you are going to actually present to the stakeholder during maybe executive meeting. They will call you out as data expert. Come and tell us where we are, what and what you have derived. You are not going to open Excel and show them Excel. No, they have no business. You end up more confusing them more. So those information that you have picked, you assemble them, then you read them out. Okay. So now you are going to share your screen and then at least perform this analysis, this same analysis for me. Once you are done with this, then we will now go into the, can I call them advanced statistical function, where we will now be able to answer beyond one criteria, because this analysis now is just one condition that we use. And what is the condition, sir? Let me know whether you can.
That is the average of each of the item.
Good. That means what?
Item type.
The item type is the condition, right? Which you use
Yes,
in summarizing what? The total average.
the
Now,
average.
so you can share your screen now. Quickly share your screen. Let me stop
Okay.
sharing. I have Joss Wizzy watching from Facebook. So please, you can drop a comment how you are enjoying the class. Joss Wizzy, thank you for joining. This is Digital Z Hub, an online training platform. So keep tuning in. You get more of this training. So you can reach me direct with 070 070 69 66 5919. So if you are watching me from Facebook, you can reach me via WhatsApp 070. Let me make it international, plus 234 70 69 66 5919. Right? Thank you for joining. Right? So you have 10 minutes to get this classwork done, sir. Just hurry up.
Okay.
So you have to be explaining what you are doing in order to also keep me busy.
Okay. Okay. Do you see? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes. I can see your screen.
Okay. So what I've done is to pull the data to the computation of the average
Okay,
pick the criteria.
okay,
So I pick the range,
okay.
then I pick the criteria. There's total revenue.
So while
Sorry,
that is going on, I'm coming. Yes.
criteria range. Do you still see my screen?
I didn't quite hear you.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes, I'm still seeing it.
Okay.
That also keep me busy.
So I'm done. I'm done. You are muted. Okay, no problem.
Wow. All right, so that is good. So let me continue from where we are. The class we had last time, I with them. All right, so that is a nice one. It shows that you are a fast learner. You are actually trying. All right, so now let's quickly look at the advanced. Let's quickly look at the advanced Excel aggregate function. At the same time, Excel statistical functions with condition. Now, I'm going to start with the first one, which is the Sumifs. But before that, I would like to give us the general introduction to this set of same aggregate function. Now, the one we just concluded now can only be used where your analysis question is one criteria. So the moment you want to go multiple or with multiple criteria, then you have to advance to the one we want to look at now. So the only difference between this one and this one is the addition of the S. So we also have count if, but you now add what? S. So I'm starting with the Sumifs. I'm starting with the Sumifs. And by definition, Sumifs is an advanced Excel statistical function, which is used to summarize value where multiple criteria is required. I hope you understand the definition. Where
Yeah.
multiple criteria is what? Required. So for example, the best way we can relate this is for us to answer another analysis question that we have more than one criteria like this. So let's go back to the data and be able to construct a valid analysis question. So for instance, we are asked to analyze, in other words, analyze the sum of total profits. Analyze the sum of total profits per the same item type, where
Analyze it. So
analyze, please let me write it down. Analyze the sum of total profits per item type and cis channel is offline. Cis channel is offline. Cis channel is offline. That is how many criteria? 2. The first
2.
one is
Item type.
item. That is what the first one is, that you aggregate based on the item type. And then this time around, we are still going to have the list of the item type, but this time around, it is only value under total profit that is traced to offline. So if you have baby food here, for example, let's say you have baby food, in as much is online, it's not going to what? Add the value of it. So it will only add where the sales channel is equal to what? Offline. So now let's quickly apply that. So we are still on our dashboard. So the first thing I will do, since I'm dealing with the same information, so I can just copy from here. And then let's say I am putting it here. Okay, just to answer this question here. So this is the first criteria mentioned in that question. That is the reason why I listed out all the unique variables. But I'm not going to list out the one of offline and online, because that one is the second criteria. Okay, so you should be able to look at the analysis question and know exactly which one should be the principal criteria. That is the one you ensure that you single out or you list out the unique variable or value there. Now here, I'll say write what? Total sum. That is what we are presenting here. So equals to, I'll type sum if, but this time around, this is the one you are selecting. Now, I want you to look at it carefully. You will see that the structure or the syntax is a bit different from the first one. So let's look at it together. We have a constant, which is sum range. Now, this sum range must be an integer or a number data type. That is one thing you must make sure that you understand. You cannot supply string, that is tertiary. It must be number. And if you look at that analysis question, in fact, let me see if I can put the analysis question here so that we can be seeing it while we are analyzing. So the question say analyze the total profit per what? Item type and sales channel is offline. In other words, is what? Equals to offline. That is the question. I want us to be looking at the question. So which means that here, I will say equals to, then sum ifs. Now, if you look at the two criteria that are involved, one is item type, the other one is offline. Now, what are you aggregating? We are aggregating the value under what? Total profit. So if you look at the three of them, it is only the total profit that have numbers, right? So which means that what? That is the one you are to call here, where you have sum range. So I will go back to my data and capture it. That is what it means. Whatever you are referencing there must be number. Is a constant. So comma. Now, once you add the comma, what you get is what? Criteria range 1. Criteria range 1. So what is the meaning of criteria range 1? In other words, criteria range 1 is the capturing
of the cell range where the first criteria value is.
Okay.
Now, the first criteria is the item type. So which means that this is what you have to capture. So you have only acknowledged that except the criteria that will be used to summarize the total profit. This is where they are. That is what we just did now. That is criteria range 1. That is not criteria 1. So the moment you put a comma, you will now see that what? It will now ask you for what? Criteria 1. What is criteria 1? Criteria 1 is the selection of one of the item type in your dashboard. So you come back here and pick the first one. Are you getting the logic, sir? You pick the first one, then you add your comma there. Are you still here, sir? Are you still here?
Yeah, so I don't have anywhere I'm going.
You said what? Sorry, I didn't get what you just said.
I said I have nowhere to go.
Okay.
I said I have nowhere to go.
Okay. All right. So I'm trying to break it down in a way that because it's a bit logical. Now, so here, this is, remember that we have to switch back to our dashboard for us to be able to define the criteria 1. So once you have defined the criteria 1, we added the comma, and then it activates criteria what? Range 2. Criteria range 2 is the selection of cells range where the second criteria is, which is what? Check your question. Says what? Channel.
Offline.
Where do you have the offline?
Offline.
Which is the second criteria. Is recorded under what? Says what? Channel. So I'll go back to the data. I'll go back to the data sets. Go back to the data set and then capture all the values you have here. Because that is where the criteria 2 value is. Then you add a comma. It will now ask you for criteria 2. Criteria 2. Criteria 2 is not mentioned in your dashboard. Hope you know that. You only listed what? Item type as your criteria 1. So in a situation like this, where you did not mention your criteria, your other criteria in your dashboard, then you pick them from the data set. And when picking them, you pick the first one. If you pick this offline, it's not going to what? Add this particular value.
The one on top.
Good.
Okay.
So if you are picking your criteria from the data set, please, within that column, it must be the first one so that you take everything down. Now, that is all. We have already selected what? The 2 criteria. Now, you now press enter. So you see it now. Now you get the calculation. So if I also autofill to give me the what? The analysis for order. So for us to interpret it to, in a layman way, what we have analyzed is that this value is the total profit generated where generated from baby food, where sales channel is what? Offline. And that is what we do. Online transactions are not here. That is what you did. So you can do a kind of comparison analysis. And how do you go about that? You can just copy this and paste it here. Then you do the same thing, but the second time you select online so that you can compare and contrast when you are writing your executive report. So you should be able to tell the company that at the end of my analysis, aggregating or comparing the offline with the item sold and the online, I discovered that this one did better than the other one. So that will not guide them in making decision. So they will know which of the channel they are to invest more on. So share your screen and perform this same analysis before I proceed.
Yeah. I'm done. Hello, sir. Can you see my screen?
I can hear you. Yes, 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 of course. I'm still on your screen. That's good. That's good. All right. So you can stop sharing. You can stop sharing. Let's see if you can add more.
Okay.
And also confirm if you can see my screen before I proceed. Can you see my screen? Should. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. It now.
Please check if you
I
can
can see your
see.
screen. Yeah.
Okay, and how is my audio? Because I switched from
Yeah. The, the
it's
audio is
okay.
fine.
All right, all right. Okay, so let's quickly proceed. So so far so good. You can see how we are communicating with our data with these functions. So these are the techniques that we need to understand. Now, this particular one is the one for summation. Now, I want to format the data a little bit because like I told us before, formatting is part of our job. Formatting makes your report look more presentable and readable, even to yourself. So the first thing I want to do before we look at the Countifs is to format the whole of this section. So I will highlight everything, and the first thing I'm going to do is to add border lines. So I'll select this one that says what? All border lines. And then the headers, I will make them look unique. The headers, so that somebody can differentiate the header from the value. Now, this same format, I want to give it to this same section. And I don't want to come here and start going through the same process. So what I will do is to highlight the whole of this part and then click on Format Painter and then highlight the area I want to give that same appearance. So you can see how I automatically repeated that format. So if I've created multiple reports, I will just focus on one. Once I'm done formatting it, I will just copy and paste the format. Okay, I hope that is clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I was saying the other time, there is need for you to also visualize this so that you can easily identify the trend and the pattern. Okay, so if I want to measure the pattern of the first graph, it's going to be like this. So you can see this is the pattern. The pattern can either be progressive or regressive. So that is one thing that we must understand. So now let's quickly look at, but before that, let me quickly visualize this, but with another graph in order to give my dashboard a design. I have used bar charts, so I can also enhance the appearance of the graph also if you want. So you can go to design. So from design, you can see some already made formats that you can use. So I can use this. You can see that with this, I can see the bars and the values better. So let me quickly visualize this same one so that I will know which one is doing better. Highlight everything just like I did the other time, then click on the quick analysis icon. Now I can use this bar method. Remember I used it last time, but let me go to this. You can even use a spark line. Okay, so you can use this to represent it, whichever one that you feel that is better or that will give you the presentation you want. So I want to use a let me choose this. So I'll just carry it and then put it somewhere here. I can reduce it if I want. Reducing it is going to make it too small. Okay, so now I can decide to attach the value. Even this very one that we have here, I can attach the value to the bars. So here I want the values to be attached. So how do you go about that? You select the graph itself. In other words, we now want to format the graph, and then you go to add chart elements. Go to add chart elements, and then go to where you have data label, and then choose any of these. So you can see what I have done now. So now I've been able to what? To define, to attach the value to each of the sector, which makes it more, readable and interpretable. Now I can do the same thing here. Just click on it, go to the add chart element, then choose what? Data label. Then you can choose any one you want as well. So the value will be attached to the bar directly. Now, the next one we want to look at is the Countifs. 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 Countif. So how do we define the Countif? The Countif is an advanced Excel statistical function which is also used where multiple criteria are involved. I said it is also an advanced Excel statistical function, also used for aggregating value where multiple criteria is needed. So let's quickly look at a valid analysis question we can answer with the Countifs. So after you have outputted this summation, the company may want to know, okay, give us the analysis of the total number of transactions that generated this. We want to know the total number of transactions that generated this. So what I'm going to simply do is to copy the since is related to that, Control C. So let's say I am putting it here, Control V. So the only thing I will do is that I will delete all these functions because I'm not using, sorry. So Control, then highlight all these and delete them. So I'll change here to total count, or total count. Now, the syntax will be, you start by entering the equal sign, and then you type the Countifs. The Countifs. Now you study the syntax. So if you look at the syntax, we have criteria range 1. So we don't have that constant, that sum range is not here. We just have what? Criteria range 1, criteria 1. Then once we have used this criteria range 1, criteria 1, once we add a comma, it will bring out what? Criteria what? Range 2, criteria 2. Once we add a comma, we will now have criteria range 3, criteria 3, until you get to the last one. So what is the question we are asking? The same thing. So I will go and capture my first criteria, which is what? The baby item. Go back to the data set and then take everything here. comma.
No,
Right?
you've picked country. You've picked country, not the baby item.
Okay. Let me correct it. Thank you for that observation. Okay, let me see if I can pick to avoid error. Okay, then comma. Now, what is your criteria one? Your criteria one is mentioned here, which is this,
Baby item.
comma. What is, you see that once I add a comma, it's now asking for what? Criteria range two.
Excuse me. No, you pick the baby item from the dashboard and not from the data source. Will you still work?
This one.
Yeah. For criteria.
Yes. I picked it here because I have it listed here. But if I want
Okay.
to now, I want to go for the offline now. Offline is not mentioned here, so I'll pick it from there.
Okay. Okay. I
Okay,
just
so
wanted to be
now
sure
the
that
next
it will
one
work.
is to get the range. Criteria range 2 is the range where you have the second criteria, which is what? The says what?
Channel.
Channels. Says channel, comma, what is the criteria? You know it's not there. So if I'm picking, I'll pick the first
Offline.
word, offline. So if I want to go 3 criteria, I'll put a comma. Then, or let's say, let me just make it 3 criteria here. Let's say that, okay, now we want to capture only total profits greater than that same 900. So which means that I'll put a comma, which means that after the second criteria, I'll put a comma, and then I will call what? All the item here, then add a comma, then string, then say what? Greater than what? 900,000, right? 2, 3. And then you close it. That is your last criteria. Then you hit enter. It's just one that is counted based on the multiple word criteria. So I can just autofill. You can see that some do not even have any based on the criteria. So at the end of the day, you now write your observation, which one have the highest number. As you can see here, the highest number here is what? That's a cosmetic. So you can now begin to see why that cosmetic was actually leading when we perform what? Summation. So your count analysis has given you that insight. So if you are asked during presentation, why is it that cosmetic is leading? You can now tell them that what? Number one, we have more of each what? Number of transactions. Because they will ask you. You cannot just say, okay, it's doing better. They will ask you why. So can you quickly perform it? Can you quickly do it before we take the final one?
Okay.
Since you have to be explaining, you have to, it's your own turn to teach now.
Okay. So I'm doing Countifs. So the first thing I need to do is to get the item that serves as criteria. So now is to perform the function. So we pick the criteria range for first item, which is item type, comma, we pick the criteria comma, then we pick the criteria range for channel, then comma, the criteria itself, which is offline. So we are looking at item less than 900. So it's
Oh.
my the last criteria is not picking. I might do something wrong. The top
Yes.
criteria.
Yes, the quotation is not covering the greater than sign. That's the quotation, covering the greater than sign. Yes. No,
And
after the
yeah,
comma, after the
I did
comma.
that time. I put it.
Oh yeah,
It was
put it like this, put it like this.
yeah.
Put it here, put it here. Let's see. Okay. Mhm. So run it, let me see what happened.
It said
What error
you have
are you
entered
getting?
too few arguments.
Okay, so start all over. Let me check
You
what you
have
are doing.
entered too few arguments for this one.
Okay, so let
Okay.
me see. What you do now is that can you clear everything? Let me just follow you up so that
Equal count if then my so I now went to the first criteria. I pick the first criteria range, comma. I pick the criteria itself, comma. Pick the second criteria range, comma. Pick the criteria, comma. Then sorry, greater than. Am I correct up to this point?
yes, just continue. Let me see. You have to add
So
the second
I think this is the
quotation.
last point now.
No, the second quotation, you have not added it. The closing
Okay.
quote.
Is that
Yeah,
done?
yeah, run it, run it.
So you have entered too few argument for this
That
function.
means that hope you are not referencing wrong sheets. Okay, let's say where you have C to C. C to C is what?
C to C is column C.
C to C is what? That is okay. That is item type, right? That is item type.
That is
That is item
item
type.
type.
Then D to D. Where is D to D is
Yeah,
D to D is what?
yeah,
D to D is what?
yeah. D to D is Sales channel.
Huh?
Sales channel.
No.
Sales channel.
See. You got it wrong.
Sales channel.
After selecting the item type, you have to go to your dashboard and pick one of the items before you come back for sales channel. That is where you got it wrong. So clear everything. Let's go.
Sales channel.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello.
I can hear you. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I
Okay,
can hear you.
okay, you are still getting that error. Okay, so
Hello, I
I
can
want
hear
to
you.
let me clear everything. Clear everything. Let's start afresh. Clear everything.
Sorry. Yeah, I've cleared everything.
Now, let's start again. Activate the function. Activate the function. Countifs. Okay. Now, your criteria range 1. Go and pick everything from the data set. Everything under item type.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, comma. Then go back to the dashboard. Go back to the dashboard. Go back to the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the dashboard.
Yeah, Amber. Yeah.
Oh yeah, select baby food. Select baby food.
I pick item baby food.
Yes. Then comma. Then go back.
There.
Go back to the data and select sales channel letter. Select sales channel and pick
Yeah.
comma. Then pick the first offline. Pick the first offline. It's like your network is behind mine. Then once you have done that, press enter from there.
Yeah.
Press enter from there. Press enter. Let's see. Should be able to get a value now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it okay now? All right. Is it okay now? Hello, sir.
Yeah.
It's okay, right? You've gotten it.
Yes, I'm answering. It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So Yeah, I can see it here. Yeah. So the only thing is that you have to give us the graph. Represent it with graph. Let me see. So we can easily know the highest. All right, so now you can unshare. Let's round up. Let me take the last one, and then we can call it a section. So the last one is Averageifs. Averageifs. The last one is Averageifs. Averageifs. So the Averageifs is another Excel advanced statistical function, also used where you have multiple criteria. So let's cite a valid analysis question. For example, we are also asked to analyze the average. This is the one we got from counting analysis. And then we have the one for summation analysis. So let's go for the average. So I'm just assuming that we are using this same information. By using this same information. All right, so what is the question? The question is analyze the total average. Total average per item type where sales channel is offline. So that is the question. We'll just take it up a little. So now I will change this to total average. I'll change this to total average. Right? So now the function is equals to Averageifs. Now, if you look at this syntax carefully, it's the same thing with the Sumif. The only thing is that in the case of Sumif, what we have here was a sum range. Now it's now what? Average range, which means that that same condition I gave you, the number range is the one that must be here. So if you look at the question now, the number range is the total what? The total profit average.
Average.
So I have to go back to the data set. Yes, and capture this because it must be number. Then comma. Then, and it says what? Criteria range what? 1. So that one is constant. It's now you want to capture what? Where the range of cells, where the first criteria is, which is from what we mentioned in our question, is what? Item type. So I'll take what? This. That is the range where the first criteria is, then add a comma. Then go back to your dashboard and pick what? The first what? Item. Then comma. Criteria range 2, the range of cells where you have the second what? Criteria, which is what? Sales channel. So I go back to my sales channel and then tick everything here. Then comma, then the criteria 2 is, since it's not mentioned in your dashboard, you pick the first word offline from the data set, and then you hit what? Enter. Right? If I want to stop here, if I want to add the third one, remember the logic. So I will just press it. So this is what I have. So you also double click to get it filled for others. So these things are what it's just for you to understand the logic. Once you get the logic, you can always use them to perform exploratory analysis. All these analysis we have done today, they falls under what we call exploratory analysis, one of the technique we use in descriptive analysis. Any question?
No question.
Okay, so you ask, okay, let me say something.
No.
Okay, so your assignment is you ask.
I'll be happy to know the. Okay.
Okay, so your assignment is to look for a
Go ahead.
different data set, look for a different data set, and perform
Okay.
different analysis with all the functions we have discussed so far. Just get a different data set that have both number value and string value, and then perform same analysis. I hope that is taken, sir. You understand the assignment, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we end the section here.